They're everywhere, and you never quite know why they're there. From Liz Hurley to Richard Branson, the media is populated by characters whose significance in life seems to depend on the amount of attention they get. They've understood the importance of the stunt. All embody the truth of Phineas T. Barnum's remark that the bigger the humbug, the better the people will like it. As an exhibition opening tomorrow demonstrates, there is now an entire industry devoted to public relations gimmicks.
Now, who are all these people there?
That's OB. He's a constable.
In Liverpool today, the local police came up with a truly desperate publicity stunt to prove they're a caring, sharing local constabulary. They gave out Pokemon-style cards with pictures of themselves on them, so the local kids will know who to run away from if they commit an offence.
It's really to try and get children to make contact with police officers. What we're trying to do is make our officers as approachable as possible and get the kids involved with them.
It may be desperate, but it passes the first and only test of a stunt. It attracted the cameras and the newspapers.
What do you think of it?
It's good.
Good.
It's just an illusion.
It all goes back to Phineas T. Barnum, elephants ploughing fields and PR stunts like bringing Tom Thumb to Britain to promote the circus.
Here is the picture of him bringing over Tom Thumb, of the horrendous freak show at the time, horrendous. Here he positions Tom Thumb against, you know, the icons of the British Empire, I suppose, in some ways.
Mark Borkowski is the proud inheritor of the Barnum tradition, but his real hero is Jim Moran, inventor of the modern stunt.
Moran's skill was being able to come up with an idea and selling it to somebody promoting a product. Here is a picture of him selling one of the original ice makers by taking it to Alaska and supposedly selling fridges to Eskimos.
Mark admits to some early mistakes, like the time he promoted a circus.
This is Josie the tap dancing dog. And this I say with a heavy heart because this was a fib.
When That's Life wanted to film it dance, he claimed it had been run over, thereby unintentionally sparking a road safety campaign.
And the protest at the local council was tap dancing dog today, kids tomorrow.
Because you're gorgeous, I'd do anything for you.
The simplest stunt is to take a starlet and underdress her. But if you take it too far, it can backfire.
Well, Gail Porter at the time was a kids' TV presenter. So there's the angle of a kids' TV presenter taking a kit off one of the lads' magazines, FHM. FHM described it in the same way that Barnum did it, you know, took it outside the magazine and did a clever bit of light posting, as we call this too, which is fly posting on a building using a light projection. I think it dogged us slightly.
Sex sells. John and Yoko set the pace for political photo stunts, but the real experts are Greenpeace protesting on environmental and anti-nuclear issues.
I could have chosen hundreds of images of Greenpeace, but in fact I stuck with this image here of these protesters, these anti-nuke protesters from Greenpeace, running the gauntlet with the Eisenhower coming into Palmer Harbour here.
They even excite the admiration of the professional stunt organisers.
You know, you've got to say that what Greenpeace has done has got tremendous coverage, a worldwide coverage, to things that probably they wouldn't have got coverage for, so it's worked.
Although Greenpeace might not be quite so happy with Max Clifford's view of the integrity of the publicity stunt business.
That's creative PR, or a pack of lies, depending on how you want to view it.
Increasingly, the line between the PR stunt and politics is being blurred. It started with petitions being delivered to Downing Street by celebrities, was turned into an art form by screaming Lord Such, and ended, according to Mark Borkowski, with Tony Blair.
This, to a certain extent, was manipulated. It's a manipulated moment. And once you've made the pact with the devil is always on your shoulder, making you very well aware of your responsibilities.
Some people have built a business out of being a one-man publicity stunt. But the man who makes it his business to promote others this way says it's a conspiracy by him, his clients and a willing media who don't ask too many questions about whether the event is real.
That never really comes up as a question. I've never had that posed to me as a question whether it's real or not.
So is the stunt innocent fun, a way of generating huge publicity without a huge advertising budget, or a conspiracy by the PR industry and us to dupe the public? Well, we're joined now here in the studio by Ben Jones of the agency Cake and Adrian Gatton, who may be perhaps better known to some viewers as the man who developed a sympathetic pregnancy with his wife. Now, Adrian Gatton, how were you approached to do this?
Well, I'm a journalist by profession, but I happened to be jobbing for a PR company at the time, and they couldn't find an actor one night before a PR stunt they had to do for a .com client, which was for a parenting website. So they said, well, we'll just get Gatton in. You know, he looks like he might do it. I got a brief at about 20 to 6 the night before. They stuffed a press release into my hand saying, here's a briefing about, you know, fatherhood and pregnancy, and can you do it in the morning? And I said, OK then, I'll do it.
So you were pretending to be a man whose wife was pregnant,
yeah,
and in sympathy, whereas it
yeah,
wearing
well,
was...
Yeah, the coup was that I've been wearing this empathy belly for 7 months, and I've been wearing ankle weights and stuff on my nipples to sort of mimic the soreness that women get when they're pregnant. And I've been doing this for 7 months. Yeah, that was the.
And it was a complete and total fabrication.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The tricky thing was that you know, the press went along with it. They loved it, and they said, "Oh, we can't spot a good story." The client was kept in the dark, although some of them knew. And also the lady that I was with, the lady in the background, she's actually an actress who was pregnant, genuinely pregnant, but she actually believed the stunt was true. And all the way through, I had to maintain the pretense with her that my partner was actually pregnant.
Now, why did you do it?
For a laugh, I suppose.
I'm presuming they paid you something to do it.
And they paid me, yeah.
And you had no qualms of conscience about doing it?
Not really, no.
You must have ended up...
I was young.
Now, Ben Jones, you've done plenty of other things yourself. The one I was particularly intrigued by was the Pokemon convoy. Can you just talk us through that one?
I mean, essentially, we'd worked on Pokemon for quite a while, seeding it in the early stages, and then essentially what came along was the idea that we had to launch it. Here was the biggest game in the world at the time, and there was a day of launch. What would he actually do? So we came up with the idea of, it is the thing that every kid in England is waiting for, so what better? Let's actually do a launch. So we ended up with a convoy of trucks coming on a ferry, a whole load of Japanese security men with it, motorbike convoys, etc. We treated it as if it was gold bullion, which essentially to every kid in England it was at the time.
What was actually in the lorries?
Half the Eurythmics backstage set, and 3 of the lorries actually had nothing in it at all.
Now, I mean, that worked, did it?
Fantastically, yeah. I mean, you know, journalists picked up on it, the media picked up on it. It became a big story. Journalists look for imagery that, or
sure,
they look for you know, photographic imagery. They look for something, you know, they can hang a story on to a certain extent. I think what Mark said earlier is probably true to a certain extent, that media are always up for a great story, but I don't think that the public feel they're being duped. I think they're looking for entertainment.
But are they willingly complicit, or are they just stupid, or what?
I think they're willingly complicit. You know, they're looking to be entertained, and that's whether that be on a film, whether that be in a book, whether that now be in a commercial message through something like a publicity stunt.
So this appetite for the gimmick, for the convoy of Pokemon cards, whatever it is, that is something that you feed, and you feed it with what end in view?
We feed it with the end in view that what we'll end up with is a piece of entertainment to a certain extent. Obviously, the effect from there on in is that you hope that sales will be generated from that. You can't always, to a certain extent, you can't always guarantee that, because you can't always guarantee that the story that you're going to sell in is going to be taken favourably. All we can ever do is create a story and hope that the journalists that pick up on it, be it television, be it press, will sell that in favourably.
Why do you need to do that, though?
Because to a certain extent, what's happening now is that there are so many messages out there for so many people. You are bombarded, every day you're bombarded, I think it's something like 18,000 advertising messages. And that's a huge amount of messages. You need to do something to cut through if you want to get to people. And in order to get to people, basically, you've got to do something that's entertaining.
Now, some of these things are very ingenious. For example, I mean, when you were going to launch Red Bull, you flooded, was it Newcastle, with empty cans,
yeah,
suggesting that everyone was drinking it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of it seems to be slightly nearer the knuckle. But do you have any qualms of conscience about it?
No, because everything we do, we hope is going to be entertaining and funny. We would never go out of our way.
It's not true. That's the problem with it.
What is there then that's not, to a certain extent? That, I mean, there are things I agree that publicity stunts that have been done which may not necessarily be funny and may not be entertaining, but to a certain extent I would say that a lot of the things that we do basically are funny.
Yeah, well, I can't dissent from the fact that they are fun. Thank you both very much. Tomorrow morning's front page is the Times has news that Brixton Prison is to be taken over by a private company after the discovery that some of the warders there have been operating effectively a racist prison within a prison. The Guardian has news of the Inland Revenue's disclosure to Lord Levy about how they found details of his tax affairs. Power Crazed and Bonkers is one of Gordon Brown's cabinet colleagues' apparent descriptions of him, or sorry, government colleagues' descriptions of him. And the girl who disappeared from Oxford apparently has emailed her father saying that she's not ever coming home. That's all from Newsnight tonight. There's news around the clock on News 24 if you wanted. I'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, from all of us on the programme, good night.